In our last lesson, we learned about many types of insects that live in many different habitats. Insects live in all sorts of different habitats, except for the ocean. Insects have to find many different ways to adapt to and survive in their habitats. This makes the many different kinds of insects look very different from one another. Look at the insects in this photo. How are these insects similar? What are some ways that these insects are different? Today, we are going to learn about what all insects have in common. Before we start our story, I'm going to go over some of the new vocabulary words that we will hear. The first word that I want to talk about is the word microscopic. If something is microscopic, that means that it is very, very small. It's so small that you can't see it with just your eyes. In order to see things that are microscopic, you have to use a special tool like a microscope. Germs that carry many different diseases are microscopic, so you can't see them with your eyes. Think of some other things that are microscopic. Antennae, or if it's singular, antenna. These are the feelers on the heads of insects. Abdomen. The abdomen is the end part of an insect's body. The abdomen contains the digestive and reproductive systems. Thorax. The thorax is the middle part of an insect's body, between the head and the abdomen. The thorax contains the heart and the leg attachments. Exoskeleton. The exoskeleton is the hard body covering on some insects that protect them from being squished. Hello, boys and girls. The last time you gathered to learn about insects, you were joined by a fly, an insect with whom you are surely familiar. I am also a very common insect that loves to live in bathtubs or underneath kitchen sinks. My cousins and I often hide during the day, so you may not notice us. Does anyone know what type of insect I am? I am a cockroach. Do you think I look anything like a fly? There are millions of insects on Earth. At first glance, we may look very different from one another. For example, I look very different from my friend, the fly. What are some other differences? What are some ways that we are the same? Some insects, like butterflies and grasshoppers, have wings, whereas others, like fleas and microscopic lice, don't. Remember, microscopic means that it's so small you have to use a microscope to see it. Some eat plants and others eat animals, but all insects have certain features in common. I am here to talk about what makes an insect an insect. Our name should give you a clue. Insect. Section. What part of both of these words sounds familiar? Both of these words have the word sect. Sect means part. An insect's body is built in sections, or parts. 3 parts to be exact. We'll use one of my friends, the ant, as an example. All insects have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. The head is the center of an insect's senses, but different kinds of insects can have very different looking heads. The thorax is the middle part of the insect's body. The abdomen is the end of the insect's body, farthest away from the head. What do you notice about the heads of these common insects? Do they look anything like yours? Do they have eyes? Yes, they do, but they are different from your eyes. For one thing, many insects have more than 2 eyes. Most insects, like this cricket, have big eyes located on the side of the head. Many insects also have smaller, simple eyes on the tops of their heads. Look closely at this cricket's head. Can you see its eyes? Although some insects see better than others, most insects also use other senses to get information about their environments. Look at this bush cricket. Does it have a mouth? Yes. Its mouth is a small hole at the front of its head, surrounded by mouth parts. You and the cricket both use your mouths to taste and eat. Take a minute to think about what the parts of your mouth are called. Some parts of your mouth could be called tongue, teeth, taste buds, or even lips. Look at the variety of insect mouth parts. Some look like sponges, others look like scissors or needles. An insect's mouth is carefully designed for eating certain types of foods. Some insects bite and chew solid foods. Others suck liquids. Still others pierce their foods. For example, cockroaches like me eat just about anything we can find. We have 2 pairs of jaws for biting, cutting, and chewing food well. Other insects, like the tiny aphids that destroy farmers' crops, have mouth parts that look more like drinking straws. They feed by sucking sap from plant leaves and stems through these tubes. Look how long and sharp this mosquito's mouth part is, perfect for piercing the skin of its prey and sucking its blood. Have you ever been bitten by a mosquito? They love to feed on people, as well as other animals like horses and birds. Butterflies and bees have long mouth parts for sucking nectar from flowers. So now you've seen insect eyes and mouths. What else do you see on the head of these insects? Ah yes, those long feelers. Those are the insect's antennae, their most important sense organs. Insect antennae come in a variety of shapes and sizes and help insects learn more about their surroundings. These jointed feelers, such as those on this cricket, are often covered with tiny bristles and pegs, and some are even feathery. Antennae are primarily used for smell and touch, although some can pick up sounds or detect movement in the air. Do you see a nose on this cricket? No. At least, nothing that looks like your nose. Instead of a nose, the cricket uses its antennae to smell. Eyes, mouth, antennae. What else might you expect to find on an insect's head? What other sensory organs do you have on the side of your head? Your ears. Do you see any ears on this cricket? No. The cricket's ears are located on its legs, attached to the middle section of the cricket's body. Remember what the middle section of the body is called? It's called a thorax. The thorax has 3 pairs of jointed legs and usually, but not always, 2 pairs of wings. Notice I said pairs. A pair is 2 of a specific item. If there are 3 pairs of legs, how many legs total does an insect have? All insects have 6 legs. Let's take a look at the cricket's thorax and see if we can spot its ears. Look just below its knee joint on the front leg. Do you see a smooth patch of skin? That is the cricket's eardrum, which is very important for it communicates with other crickets through sound. The cricket's eardrum bends in and out to catch sound waves, so it can communicate with other crickets. Insect legs vary according to an insect's lifestyle. How do you think the long, muscular back legs of a grasshopper might help it? That's right. Its legs are designed for jumping to quickly escape danger. Have you ever seen the fuzzy legs of a honeybee covered with yellow clumps of pollen that it carries back to its hive? And how do you think the back swimmer beetle's pair of long legs help it in its water habitat? Notice the oar-like shape of the legs that it uses for paddling. Caterpillars have 3 pairs of true legs on the front part of their bodies, but their long bodies need extra support, so they also have several pairs of stubby legs in the back to help them cling to stems and leaves. These false legs are called prolegs. Caterpillars loop along, grasping stems with their front legs, or true legs, before drawing their bodies up into a loop to hold on with their hind legs, or prolegs. So even though it looks like caterpillars have more than 6 legs, they really do only have 6 true legs, just like all other insects. Only adult insects have wings, and some insects don't have any wings at all. If an insect does have wings, they are located on the insect's middle section, or thorax. Wings allow insects to move quickly from place to place, and they are surely one reason insects have survived in such large numbers for so many years. Insect wings may look very different from one another, but a network of veins supports each wing. Veins carry needed materials like blood to different parts of the body. When it's quiet at night, especially in the summertime, you may hear an interesting chirping noise coming from insects outside. That sound may be a cricket. Crickets' wings have veins. The veins of a male cricket's wings are thicker and shaped differently from many other insects. You'll learn more another day about how a cricket uses its wings to make its unique chirping sounds. So far, we've looked at an insect's head and its thorax. Every insect body is made up of 3 sections. Can you remember the name of the 3rd section? The 3rd and largest section is called the abdomen. Do you have an abdomen? Yes, you do. Your abdomen is your belly. Like an insect, your abdomen is where you digest your food, or break it down so that your body can use it to grow and stay healthy. An insect's abdomen is also the part of its body where the female produces eggs. The abdomen is also where insects breathe. Like you, insects need oxygen from the air to live, but they do not have lungs, and they do not take in air through their noses or mouths. Instead, if you look closely at this cricket's abdomen, you will see a line of tiny holes along its side. This is where insects take in air containing oxygen to breathe. So what makes an insect an insect? Well, it has 3 body parts: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. It also has 6 legs, and most insects have wings. But that's not all. All insects are invertebrates, meaning that they have no backbones. Instead of having their skeletons inside their bodies like you, insects wear their skeletons on the outside. These waterproof exoskeletons, made of a tough, flexible material called chitin, protect the insect's soft insides like a suit of armor. Just like your backbone and bones, An insect's exoskeleton is the thing to which the insect's muscles attach. Here is a picture of another one of my cousins. We cockroaches were around long before the dinosaurs. I think our thick exoskeletons may have something to do with our long survival. Don't you? Pause for a minute and think about why the thick exoskeleton of a cockroach might help it survive for so long. Next time, the narrator of the read aloud will be an insect that holds its front legs together in a prayer position. What do you think that might be? She'll tell you how insects grow from tiny eggs into adults. Be prepared to be amazed. Today we learned that an insect has 3 different sections: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. We can see those 3 sections on this ant. In this picture, we see lots of different parts of insects' heads, including their antennae, which are used for touch and smell, and mouth parts that help them eat. In this picture of a cricket, we can see its thorax and its front legs. Remember, the thorax is the part of the insect's body where the legs and the wings are attached. And then its legs are right here attached to this middle section of its body, the thorax. All right, look at these. Let me scroll down a little bit so we can see his wings. Take a minute to look at this dragonfly. This beetle, and this spider. How are they similar and how are they different? Let's take a closer look at our spider. How is this spider different from other animals? Look closely at its legs. Let's count the legs on our other insects. He's got 2 legs back here on our dragonfly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exactly how many legs an insect should have. 6 legs. We can also see its thorax, where its legs are attached, and its head. Let's try our beetle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our spider. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our spider has 8 legs. Is a spider an insect? No. A spider is not an insect. Remember, insects have 6 legs. Insects have 3 main body parts, but this spider only has 1, 2, and too many legs. We learned when we learned about Arachne the weaver that spiders belong to a group of animals called arachnids. Arachnids are not insects. All right, my friends, in this read aloud, we saw a lot of pictures of insects, and we learned a lot of facts or information about them. Based on what you saw and what you heard, what do you think the author was trying to explain in this read aloud? Or what was the main topic or purpose of the read aloud? I think the author was
probably trying to explain to us what makes an insect, and talk about some of the different types of insects, because we learned there's lots of different kinds. Even though a lot of different insects look different, they all fit under the category insect. In what ways is an insect's exoskeleton different from yours? How is it different from your skeleton? Your skeleton is made of bones. An insect's exoskeleton is made of a tough, durable material. Where do you find your bones? Can you see my bones here on my arm or in my hands? Can you see my bones on my face? No, you can't see my bones because my bones are inside of my body. They're underneath my skin and other things that keep it safe. Is an insect skeleton on the inside of its body? No, an insect's exoskeleton is on the outside of its body, and it helps keep it safe and keep from being crushed. All right, let's pull out my friend here. We learned that all insects, let me make sure you can see him. We learned that all insects have 6 legs. All insects have 6 legs. What about this guy? How many legs does he have? It's got way more than 6 legs. But it's still, a caterpillar is still considered an insect. How is it still considered an insect with all of those legs on it? Remember, only 6 of the caterpillar's legs are true legs. The other legs are called prolegs or false legs. They're not real legs. They're just there to look like legs, to make it look like it has lots of legs. All right, my friends, our very last question, I want you to turn to whoever is helping you today. I want you to tell them if you could have one insect part. So remember, we talked about antennae or special wings or special mouth parts to help them eat. If you could have one insect feature, what would you want to have and why? How would it help you to have that feature? When you're done talking about whoever is helping you today with that one, go ahead and open up the PDF that's attached to this assignment. I'm going to jump on my computer to show you what that looks like and what you need to do. All right, my friends, our assignment today is another journal entry. This one's going to be a little bit different for a couple of reasons. This one, we're actually going to do 2 journal entries. So you've got 2 journal pages. Today, instead of starting with writing, we're going to start with drawing. On this first one, in this first box, I want you to pick one of the insects that we talked about today and draw it. You can go back through the video and pause it on a picture of one to help you draw if you would like to. I chose to draw a picture of an ant. It's not a very good picture or a very detailed picture, but it doesn't have to be. After you draw your picture, then I want you to label it. We're going to turn it into a little bit of a diagram. So I'm going to say that this part, I'm going to draw a line and then add some words. This part, make that a little smaller, is the head. Remember, insects have 3 main body parts. The head, the next part, this middle section, is what? It is the thorax.
After the thorax, we have this next section, which is called the abdomen. When you have labeled all of the parts of whatever insect you've chosen to draw, in the lines underneath, you are going to write 2 or 3 sentences that explain how you know that this animal is an insect. I know that this animal is an insect because it has 3 main body parts, the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. And I know that all insects have 6 legs, and ants have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. Give me 2 or 3 sentences about how you know or can prove that this animal is an insect. On the second page, there's 2 pages there for you to write on if you need the extra room. On the second page, in the square, we're going to start with drawing again. I want you to draw a type of animal that is not an insect. It can be whatever animal you want it to be. You could draw a giraffe, or a dolphin, or a cat, any kind of animal that is not an insect. You don't have to label the parts of this animal. When you are finished drawing, but I do want you to label, I want you to tell me what animal it is. I should have done that with my ant too. We'll fix that. Ant. Label your bug with what it is and all of its different body parts. And then on the second page, I want you to draw, you get to pick what animal you're going to draw, but it cannot be an insect. Tell me, make sure you label what that animal is. And on the lines underneath, I want 2 or 3 sentences that explain how you know that animal is not an insect. I know that a cat is not an insect because a cat only has 4 legs, where an insect has 6. And a cat does not have a thorax. It has a head and an abdomen, but not a thorax. All right, my friends, when you are finished with both drawings and explanations, go ahead and turn this one in, and you are all finished with knowledge today.